This is one of the rare places in Wyoming where there's almost every indigenous species we know in Wyoming.
Dan Smitherman took these steps in Wyoming's pristine Noble Basin countless times when he was a hunting and wilderness guide. Now, the former Marine officer helps lead a grassroots group waging the fight of a lifetime to show that this unique part of the country is too special to drill.
We're not an anti-energy group. We feel like there's places that are appropriate and there's places that are not. And when you look at this particular land and you look at the value that this land has to the public, it just doesn't make any sense to turn it into an industrial gas field.
The Noble Basin is a small corner of Wyoming's vast Bridger-Teton National Forest. It's part of the gateway to Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks, a region that attracts millions of visitors a year. In 2009, Congress protected more than 1 million acres of the forest from oil and gas development, but that didn't stop companies from drilling on land they had previously leased. A Texas company called Plains Exploration and Production Company, or PXP, owns one of those pre-existing leases in the Noble Basin and has plans to drill 136 natural gas wells there.
Here, big gas companies rule, and that's what's driving this whole production, this whole thing. Money is the bottom line here.
Defenders of the Noble Basin look nearby and have reason to be concerned. Just 45 minutes away, outside the town of Pinedale, natural gas companies have transformed the rural landscape. Industrial development of one of the richest natural gas fields in the U.S. has brought thousands of gas wells with up to 20,000 planned. That has altered the character of the county, which is nearly as big as Connecticut, but with just 10,000 people.
The rush hour was a horse herd going through town. Now we really have traffic.
Elaine Crumpley came to Pinedale in 1981 to teach science to middle school students.
This is a total, true cow town. The environment was clean and pristine. There was more wildlife than any place I'd ever seen. And I felt like this was where I belonged.
Natural gas development brought new prosperity to Pinedale, from drilling revenues and energy company donations to local groups. It brought new schools, a $17 million aquatic facility, and a state-of-the-art library.
My feeling is that that money has simply bought allegiance from the people here. The money has also infiltrated our local politics, our whole way of life.
And here we are, the least populated state in the nation, in the least populated county per capita, and we have some of the highest ozone in the whole nation.
The impacts of drilling seen around Pinedale have led many to fear that the same irrevocable changes will come to the Noble Basin and the rich wildlife and scenery it offers. Rollin Sparrow is a retired U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologist.
Hey, Banjo!
He's been monitoring the impacts of gas development on wildlife in western Wyoming for the last 17 years. Sparrow says he's seen great declines in wildlife around gas fields like sage grouse and mule deer. Less than half the mule deer population winters in those areas now.
The next shoe to drop is going to be impacts on antelope, which have been slower to come and harder to measure, but it's happening. We're beginning to see some declines there.
That's bad news for hunters and others who come to the Noble Basin for recreation.
A significant part of the income for restaurants and motels and the grocery store occur during the hunting seasons in the fall.
PXP spokesmen have told local residents that natural gas development in the Noble Basin will be done responsibly. But residents along the Hoback River, like Pat Burrows, have heard this story before.
They will sit across the table from you and say, it's not going to affect your quality of life, but it does. Promises are made about what it's going to be like when it's finished. Promises are broken.
PXP has not responded to emails and phone calls seeking comment. But there is some hope that the Noble Basin will be spared. The U.S. Forest Service is conducting an updated review of PXP's drilling plan. If it upholds a long-standing policy that limits drilling near public roads, the project might become less economically attractive to PXP. That would make it possible for a group or organization to buy out the leases.
We can't stop the company from drilling. They have a legitimate lease, but the only way to stop it is for them to sell the leases or donate them.
Dan Smitherman calls himself Marine Corps stubborn. He says his 23 years in the Corps taught him the word can't doesn't exist. So he believes that the battle to save this beautiful, special piece of Wyoming can be won.
You know, I've been on horseback on most of this country that you can see, including those mountains over there. Just nothing I can say. It's the only reason I'm here.